Morgan needs to write a letter to her younger self and say, being unforgiving, being resentful, being judgmental, and being bitter does not and will not serve her future.
Wow. That could be for a whole lot of us.
Absolutely.
In this case, Morgan.
Morgan and all of us.
Morgan.
If it does not serve your future, you need to walk away from it.
I hope Morgan's adult self is listening.
We shall hope so.
Welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about Lifetime Network's reality-based TV series, Married at First Sight, season number 15, episode number 11.
But before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that notification so you know when we upload new content, and we appreciate and thank you for that.
Morgan just really needs to let it go and really try to move beyond this, because as long as she keeps behaving the way she does.
Well, I think it's a wrap for Morgan. I'm not sure why the producers are just continuing along, but she has checked out. And she's clearly just showing up maybe for a check, if there's a check involved. But I think someone, maybe one of the psychologists, maybe one of the therapists, need to shut this down, because Morgan needs someone to take a deep dive into her psyche, dig up all those past hurts, because she got a lot of ghosts, and try to get rid of them, because she is now hindering her own future.
Yeah, she walked right into the apartment at the beginning of this episode, and this week they were talking about all couples were supposed to meet with Dr. Pepper Schwartz.
Yes.
In an effort to find out, some things about how they need to deal with some issues regarding their marriage, right?
Right, and particularly and specifically, Dr. Schwartz wanted all of the couples to write a letter to their younger self
by revealing some things in the past in the form of that letter, correct? As soon as Morgan arrived back at their apartment, she came in, did not say a word, walked over to the couch, sat down, and did not say a word to Ben.
And he looked confused and hurt. This chick is taking this dude on a loop, and he also have issues about being not enough. So I'm sure there's warfare happening in his entire body, because he doesn't know how to get her attention back, because she's so unforgiving. And when you take all that stuff away that Ben has done, Ben still seems to be a good dude for her to deal with, but she's not seeing all that.
Yeah, she doesn't seemingly want to deal with any of that, because her trust has been violated twice, and she's done based on that.
Well, if you're done, tell the show you're done, move on. Why are you still here?
Well, I believe that maybe it's because for reason that you had mentioned earlier. She wants a check or what have you, but she says in her confessional that she wants things to work out, and I'm like,
that's not true.
Come on.
Don't lie to us. Don't lie to the viewers.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they can edit stuff, but at least be honest.
Yeah, her actions are speaking so loud I can't hear what she's saying.
Absolutely. The couples met. The men were at Stasia's house, and the women,
right.
I'm not
Kristen's,
sure. Kristen's house.
Yep, their apartment.
So Morgan came in and she told the ladies what was happening. She told them again that Ben had been lying to her.
Yeah, talking behind their
twice,
back.
talking behind her back. She didn't feel safe. She just wanted nothing to do with him at this point, because she believed that he broke her trust, which is true. But now what? All of the couples are in a strange situation. They got married to another person at first sight. So every couple, every individual is going to have some issues that the other one doesn't know about. So didn't she come in this prepared? Was she expecting to have Mr. Perfect? Mr. Perfect is not going to show up. And certainly, if she had Mr. Perfect at one point in her life, he didn't stay. He's gone.
So that means that he wasn't Mr. Perfect,
Exactly.
and neither was she Miss Perfect.
But she comes across as so bitter, so hard, and she repeats the same record over and over and over in her head. She can't see anything beyond that. So that tells me that she really needs some serious help.
Yeah, that is a short answer as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
So, of course, ladies being ladies, Stasia recommended that they go over to her apartment where the men were, and what they want to hear what Ben has to say about this situation, have an open forum where they can discuss it.
Yeah, and when the ladies arrive and Ben actually sees Morgan arrive, you could tell he was very, very uncomfortable. It was just a bad environment for him at that point.
Yeah, and he too is done because there's nowhere for him to go.
Yeah.
He too has to deal with his own traumas, his own stuff that caused him to betray Morgan twice. It looks like she enjoys putting her foot on his neck. She enjoys that.
Yeah, it seems that that is indeed her mission. But one of the things that kind of struck me was her response to when the guys began to question her in that group setting about her accountability and all this. Nate said that asked the question, where's all of this hostility and venom coming from?
Right.
And I'm like,
he felt that thing.
yeah,
he was like,
it walked in. It walked in the form of
the group.
Right, in the form of Morgan when the ladies arrived and came in. She sat down. If you notice her facial expression,
it changed a little bit. Then she was like
absolutely
surprised, like, okay, someone's
right.
seeing me in an ugly way.
Right. But she seems to be stuck in that same place and not able to, for lack of a better expression, loose herself from this position to be able to move forward.
And even Mitch, who knew Mitch, said that in this environment that they're in, this show that they're doing, people gonna want to talk about their stuff with other people. That's the natural thing, and I agree with that.
Yeah, and why is it that she doesn't seem to understand that, and how can they move forward together if she doesn't reasonably respond to that?
Because one thing I know for sure, Morgan said she want to be married.
Mm-hmm.
She wants someone to love. It is unlikely that she'll get any of that in a holistic way if she doesn't start checking herself and start forgiving people.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, she could have it without it, but it's going to be a traumatic event.
Yeah, and one of the things I have to give Ben credit for was his admission in front of the group that he realized that he
messed up.
Right, he messed up. He's owning up to his part of it, and now he's signed up, for therapy.
Right, and he's acknowledging that he needs help beyond what the show is providing.
Right.
He understands that.
Right.
And they go back to their corners. They're now separated. They're not sharing the same space anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben sits down and he reads his letter.
Right.
And it was so sincere. He talked about, he would tell his younger self that he is enough. He read his letter sincerely. She looked at him, and that foot on the neck, that venom, that bitterness came out. Oh, I'm not prepared to read my letter. You don't get to hear my letter. Yes. I'm not comfortable talking about what's in my letter.
Right,
because you did wrong. So
yeah, let's still continue to focus on that.
Right.
Yeah, and then she
got up and left.
She's hurt, and she doesn't care what happens to him as a result of the mistakes that he's made regarding breaking her trust and all that. She doesn't care about that. It almost seems as though she is, in some really immature way, making sure that he causes or she causes him the kind
as
of
much
pain
hurt
and the kind of hurt that he has apparently caused her.
You know how Beyonce said, "You won't break my soul." I hope Ben adopts that as his mantra, because she really trying to break her brother down.
Yeah, and she doesn't understand that in doing so, she loses too. She's stuck. She's stuck in a bad place.
And this is not stuck on stupid, but she's just stuck.
Yeah, and she's made that choice to do so.
To just sit there.
Right. I remember, I believe it was Pastor Robeson, or was it Dr. Schwartz, who said, hey, look, the other side of an apology is forgiveness, and if that doesn't happen unless you embrace the second part every bit as much as the first part. And I think it's still applicable no matter how many times a mistake is made.
Well, she want to build that brick wall. Good for her, but Ben needs to get out before she builds him inside without any exit hatch or exit window or door. He needs to get out.
Yeah, at this point, I don't see anything left.
And I don't see any reason for the show to continue showing them, because there is nothing to see here but a repeat of her vexation of spirit.
Every episode. Moving forward, yep.
That ain't sexy.
No.
And it's not good TV.
Yeah, she's gonna.
You can't learn anything from that.
Yeah, she's gonna relive that every episode until.
Right, and stop mouthing that you want something good to come out of this when your actions are not saying that you want something good to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Your actions and your words gotta match. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next bit. Bye-bye.
Bye.